Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be looking at messages from your person. And before we get started, I wanted to add in kind of a side note, a disclaimer, and apologize if there is a lot of background noise in this video. We're still going through a pretty extensive heat wave in California where I live, and so I have the windows of my studio open again today just to get some air circulating in here, make it a little more bearable while I am recording this video. So again, I apologize if it's a little louder in the background than usual, but hopefully in the next few days I can go back to keeping the windows closed and kind of minimizing those outside distractions. So I thank you for your patience and understanding with that. And as far as your reading goes, there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Opalite heart. Group 2 is the Rose Quartz heart. And group 3 is the Snowflake Obsidian heart. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Opalite heart. So I'm going to start with some oracle cards to get kind of a feel about where this person is at right now, what's going on with them, kind of what the energies of the connection are at this point in time. Okay, so we have the Magician in the Mirror. So this person could be starting to take the opportunity to reflect on some things in their life, some patterns, some habits, some behavior and cycles that have led to almost this energy of difficulty, kind of self-sabotage. They may have had some things that have really come to kind of a boiling point in their life. Either related to the dynamic with you or in other aspects of their life where introspection is necessary at this point in time. If this is someone that was really used to making excuses and kind of deflecting the blame elsewhere, having a really hard time taking responsibility, there's a sense that they are almost now acutely aware and are unable to sort of run from the fact that their life in a lot of ways may be a self-fulfilling prophecy, that the narratives they have been telling themselves have been manifesting and kind of magnetizing in these similar experiences in the material world. This person is starting to really recognize, again, a tendency toward self-sabotage perhaps. Reflecting even upon the situation with you and with this connection and where things stand, any kind of difficulty that you're having, any kind of a situation of separation or no contact. And they're really starting to take the time to kind of take some ownership for that, take some ownership for their role in this. If they had really, again, projected blame upon you, made excuses, tried to even blame outside circumstances for why they were not able to commit more fully to you or stay consistent with that, there's been a shift. This feels like something that isn't necessarily at the point of manifesting and changed behavior in the material world, but this feels very internal, that in some way, again, maybe through the contribution of other factors in their life, other sort of relationships that have crumbled or that are going through stress and strain, perhaps even information that this person has kind of come upon just by chance, by happenstance, through research that they've been doing about things. Something has really resonated, something has really clicked with this person. And they're starting to view themselves and all their relationships and the situation with you from fresh eyes. We've also got adjacent possibilities. So this can talk about some kind of a fight or disagreement or misunderstanding that you may have had in some way that this person jumped to conclusions, or maybe even sort of dismissed the connection, dismissed the potential of what could grow and blossom between you too quickly, choosing a particular path, or just maybe seeing a lot of differences between you, or what they perceive to be too many similarities, where there was sort of this fear of that you were just too alike to make it work. This desire that they may have had, or this belief system that kind of friction is necessary, that idea of opposites attracting. This could have been something that they really gravitated toward or had come to sort of tell themselves was a necessary ingredient, was a necessary component in kind of this element of love and struggle that they had either become accustomed to or again had really convinced themselves was the makings, was the formula, was the recipe for a very successful dynamic. And so a particular path that they had been walking down, kind of dismissing this connection based on that kind of perception, they're starting to again see things from fresh eyes. They're starting to get kind of a new perception on things, that maybe this kind of this longing or this urge for that element of friction, or even if the two of you are really opposite and just this person operating from kind of this very stubborn stance, unable to see things from your perspective, unwilling to kind of soften that stance and accommodate the possibility that that their way of doing things, their way of looking at things, their wants, needs, and desires could really be served by kind of making room to incorporate the wants, needs, and desires of others more fully into that. That something has really shifted, something has really started to become apparent to this person, and it feels that what they had either dismissed about this connection, or kind of the stance that they were in previously about this connection is giving way to the possibility that this person starting to take ownership of the ways in which they went wrong in this situation, in which they put too much of the blame on you, or they just dismiss this connection and the potential too quickly. Again, either for too many similarities between you, or this perception even of the differences were just too insurmountable to make this work. We've also got Healer of the Ages. So this can really talk about maybe somebody who's starting to get some counseling, or at least doing some kind of research, perhaps even into sort of self-help techniques, and even just very basically starting to educate themselves, about tendencies they have in relationships, maybe some kind of avoidant attachment style that they have, where circumstances that start to really touch upon that deep intimacy, and it kind of triggers these fears, these feelings maybe of potentially being abandoned, or to express vulnerability is to kind of open themselves up to disappointment and loss in the future, which then results in kind of pushing those situations away or recoiling from that, instead of leaning kind of more deeply into that sanctuary of harmony with another person. But somebody who is just kind of used to experiencing, again, kind of maybe loss and love as sort of equal components in experiences that they've had. Somebody who doesn't also necessarily trust that who they are at their core, what they have to offer deep within them is worthy of consideration by another, or it's been some kind of a self-protective mechanism that they've had to develop after a series of heartbreaks or a substantial heartbreak. But it really does feel that this person is starting to take ownership of that, starting to really turn that gaze inward, instead of projecting all this blame onto others, blame onto outside circumstances, or even just allowing almost a defeatist attitude in love to continue to sort of propel them further away from this feeling of contentment, this feeling of intimacy with others, this feeling of deep connection. There's this urge and this desire to kind of come closer to that sort of light of love within themselves, and a desire to kind of build and foster deeper intimacy with other people in their life, and also as it pertains to this connection, to kind of shift the pendulum a little bit, to move out of this stance of confusion and of disappointment, and to move back in the direction of healing and of love. This feels again like a very internal process, but in both of these cards here, it's this element of balance that is taking place. These are, to me, virtually similar cards, almost like the higher self and the kind of the lower self coming into this place of conjunction with this person, where they're coming to terms with their shadow. They're coming to terms with some things that how they may have conducted themselves in the past in love and connections, in this connection specifically, learning to forgive themselves, learning to really accept themselves in that place, but then looking beyond that, looking for ways in which that can be transcended, this idea of adjacent possibilities, that the way that they've showed up in this connection or in their life up to this point, coming to this place of resolution that something needs to change, something needs to shift, something needs to give, and instead of projecting that blame outward, expecting the world to kind of change for them, this is the energy of change that is happening within, or at least opening to the possibility that that is possible, in order to have that ripple effect of different experiences in the world around them. Somebody who really wants to kind of move out of that energy of, again, deflecting blame onto others and starting to take responsibility, so that they can take some decisive steps to showing up as a more authentic version of themselves, showing up as a more vulnerable version of themselves, a more authentic version of themselves. Because this is taking place in the internal realm, though, again, it's really this idea of a lot kind of boiling beneath the surface of this person, that in time, should they choose to continue on this adjacent possibility, on this adjacent path of self-exploration, and really taking ownership for how they have treated you and how they've treated others, and maybe even kind of sabotaged sabotaged or kept love at a distance for them. Should they choose to continue down that path? And this is something which can lead to different results. It can lead to a different type of interaction with this person in the future. But at this point, it's this crucial kind of this nucleus, this beginning stage of that transformation happening within. Kind of this idea of recognizing that there's a problem, and it's not a problem with everyone else. It's something within this person that really needs to be addressed and kind of corrected, owned, and transcended in some way. So I'm going to get a little bit of tarot to get some clarification about this for you. Okay, so we have the Five of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And this is really talking about, again, that idea of loss, maybe some friction that has happened in this person's life, a series of relationships or even opportunities which they managed to sabotage by their own hand, or opportunities that they had to be vulnerable with others, maybe speak some kind of truth, connect deeply with others, or even this possibility or the potential they had at one point in time to connect more deeply with you and in this connection, and in a sense kind of reflecting on that this energy of missed opportunities, something that they did or something that they didn't do that really cost them kind of this deep and fulfilling emotional bond, that it has kept them in this sort of energy of lamentation, of just focusing on what they don't have, focusing on what is gone, and it's a very necessary process to kind of look at that, to look at areas of dissatisfaction within their life, situations that didn't work out as they had wanted to, or ways in which they conducted themselves in these situations that is not up to their liking. They could have handled the situation better. And by addressing these things, it's again this very crucial first step to transcending, to kind of moving out of that energy of operating in one way, this almost self-sabotage energy, and kind of turning that stance in order to feed and participate and show up in a more concise and vulnerable way in circumstances that can be rebuilt, becoming very clear about what matters as well, things that they may have been investing in emotionally, and recognizing that it was almost squandering a lot of their energy, or they'd been focusing on things that were kind of dead ends in their life, that had led to a series of disappointments that had sapped their energy, or even investing in people and circumstances that didn't have very much to give. They didn't have much yield in the long term, and this person really starting to recognize that choices that had been made, and by recognizing that, it enables them to again pivot themselves, to choose to redirect that focus elsewhere. By kind of mending this void within themselves, they're then able to come to a space where they can release that and choose to do something different, choose to show up in a more reciprocal manner in terms of love and partnership. And we've also got the King of Wands, so this can really talk about an intensity of feelings, an intensity of emotion. This could be somebody who was really quick to anger in the past, somebody who was very stubborn, placed a lot of blame on others, was very rigid in their stance, very uncompromising. And with this is kind of this energy of being willing to burn everything to the ground, and then kind of having no sort of sympathy for what sort of lays in the path of that blaze. And this is something that this person is recognizing, that it's not necessarily perhaps the fault of other people, but this is something within themselves, some aspect within themselves that they have been denying, that they need to recognize, that the time is now for them to address this, that they can't keep going through life like this. Kind of generating or attracting these situations of deep emotional fulfillment, only to have some kind of a core wound touched upon, or in some way that this person has in the past not been very malleable in terms of adapting to the personality of another person, adapting to kind of the nature of what give and take would look like in a specific relationship that would be different from all relationships. This feels like somebody who had this very almost almost stubborn stance, kind of my way or the highway, and that this led to a series of disappointments, maybe even in this connection, and it's something that they're starting to recognize, kind of that desire to sort of push away and this destructive energy that they may have been projecting outward. This is instead being directed inward. What can I change within myself? What do I need to really own and to be very honest about within myself? Kind of using those powers of transmutation in order to transmute something in that internal landscape. And as far as signs go with wands, that's fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And we've also got the High Priestess. So this can really talk about this person following some intuitive nudges at this point in time, as far as changes that they need to make, information they could be coming across or resonating with, and really taking that to heart. Moving out of a space too of being very ego-based in how they are viewing connections, how they are viewing their role in situations, how they're viewing their role in the circumstances with you. And leaning more into the space of again, recognizing some kind of internal work that needs to take place within them in order to get into that space where they are comfortable with the love they have to give, they are comfortable receiving love from others, and it comes across in more of a healthy and balanced manner, as opposed to kind of the destructive face of that. We've also got the Queen of Wands, some more of that fire energy, and this can really, with the King and the Queen here, this can bring up that element of balance, kind of these masculine and feminine polarities within self, the active and receptive polarities within self that this person is starting to really recognize. If they had been kind of in that more masculine polarity of directing energy outward and just kind of taking action, sort of moving through life without really reflecting on kind of the consequences of the ramifications of that. There's been some kind of shift that has taken place and that is really starting to take shape within this person, where they're starting to be more cognizant of that. They're starting to take into account other people's feelings. They're starting to take responsibility for this instead of projecting that blame and again projecting that force outward. This is a force that's being directed within, a force of change. We've got Justice, so more of that energy of balance, and this can talk about an apology that might be owed to you, some kind of clarification, some kind of explanation about the way this person had operated in the past, had acted towards you. That they may be in the process of kind of formulating that, knowing that at some point in time the story between you is not over, and there needs to be some kind of resolution to this. It starts within, though. It starts with that balance within, becoming very honest with themselves about what needs to change, what needs to shift. And by reaching that place of balance within, they're then able to kind of offer you something, this healing of a reintroduction into your life, maybe a series of people that they owe some kind of amends to as well. It's kind of coming to the forefront of their attention, and it's weighing heavily on their mind. We've also got the Five of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And this can really talk about, again, that sense of really being out in the cold. This person starting to recognize how they have this tendency to self-sabotage, and really thinking back about circumstances, including this connection, where through their own action or their just kind of reaction to something, sort of pulling away, as opposed to discussing their vulnerability or triggers that were being tapped on, barriers that were kind of being breached within them. They instead just maybe sort of flung themselves out of this connection or sort of pushed you away. And this could again be a theme with a lot of different relationships in their life that they're really taking stock of. They're really looking back on that and kind of missing that closeness, missing the warmth and the intimacy that they have had at various points in their life, that at this particular time with this Five of Cups and Five of Pentacles, it seems to be a very lonely period of their life, a very necessary period of introspection as well. We've also got the Nine of Swords, so that is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and this can talk about this feeling of anxiety, almost this panic, this sense of what have I done? Some clarity is coming to this person, and they're really recognizing, again, this tendency to self-sabotage and how they've almost been their own worst enemy in a lot of circumstances. A lot of thoughts going on, a lot of reflecting back on this connection, on things that have happened with you, things that have happened in other areas of their life, and it's again this very necessary period of kind of sitting in that darkness, recognizing that, taking ownership, taking responsibility for the role that they have played in various circumstances. And it's that first crucial step. It's that adjacent possibility that brings them to a place of being able to do something better, bringing apology in the form of changed behavior. And we also have the Eight of Wands, so more fire energy, and this can talk about communication, and again sort of ties in with that energy of justice, some kind of an apology that they know is owed to you, amends that are owed to other people in their life, and this definitely being something that is weighing heavily upon them, even communication in the sense of this energy of maybe quick to anger, quick to place blame, just kind of being this very fiery and almost stubborn and destructive energy in your life, and at certain periods of time, or at a specific point in this dynamic, or just a tendency in their life in general, to not yield, to not compromise, to be very kind of extreme in this self-directed focus, not taking into account other people's feelings or even the long-term ramifications of acting very impulsively and in the moment. All of this being kind of the crux of what they are thinking about at this point in time. And again, sort of that energy of contemplation, it is definitely a first step toward that inner alchemy that can lead to the possibility of change. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you, group 1, and see what do they want you to know right now. Okay, and we have my heart didn't trust love at face value. So that was coming up in terms of some kind of heartbreak, some kind of loss or disappointment that they had incurred in conjunction with love in the past, that had maybe led to this stance of pushing that away, pushing that intimacy away, pushing that vulnerability away. And kind of in hindsight, they are gaining this perspective again that they really have operated in this mode of self-sabotage in conjunction with this connection and even other circumstances in their life. And they say, I was robbed of love growing up. So that heartbreak can stem from something in their past, something in their childhood, where this person learned to kind of equate love and loss. They had come to distrust love, distrust kind of the feelings of vulnerability or the experience of vulnerability with others. Maybe this is somebody who grew up in a situation where love was very conditional, and there were times where they were really made to feel that just them being their innate and unique self was not good enough, or was wrong, or was flawed somehow, and they've kind of internalized that into this perception of deficit within themselves, so that anytime intimacy sort of comes into their life, anytime there's this potential for closeness, it touches upon that. It touches upon kind of that reminder, that sort of narrative within themselves that they're not good enough, that there's something flawed, there's something damaged about this person. And it's almost the energy of kind of pushing you away before you had the opportunity to really see behind the mask, get to know them on a deep and intimate level, and then, in their mind would inevitably push them away anyway. And they say this was no ordinary love, it's a divine soul love. So the experience with you, the aftermath of that, the energetic connection they still feel, in some way this is operating as an anchor for this person as they are going through sort of this process of taking ownership of their life in some way. They're really recognizing that, despite what might have happened, it's brought to their attention. It's given them some kind of perspective, even just energetically, or again, other circumstances of loss in their life that have occurred since whatever has happened with you, that is bringing their attention back to these circumstances, that in some way, as opposed to maybe other situations, it was just one more confirmation of sort of this feeling of inadequacy within this person. These circumstances have been very different. This has catalyzed that ability, this desire, this motivation to do this work, to make this change. Something about the significance of this and what was pushed away, or what was refused, or what was sabotaged. It's really hit home for this person, kind of the magnitude of what that loss entails, kind of the ways in which they've deprived themselves of the potential for healing, the potential for redemption, in the form of love, a love that is different from everything else they may have known. Okay, and they say, you are my dream come true. I am shocked at your existence. So you could be dreaming about this person a lot. This really feels that the two of you are kind of meeting up in that astral realm, in that liminal space, to exchange this healing energy for one another. This can really also talk about, in conjunction with that idea of an apology, that they are dreaming of kind of moving beyond this period of healing that is necessary. They're dreaming of a fresh start with you, of an opportunity even to just bring that apology to provide you with some kind of peace and closure and vindication. And they say, you are the song of my heart. So you could be getting a lot of messages through lyrics, song lyrics at this point in time, connecting with this person deeply on that level energetically. This person could also be using music therapy as a way to kind of process some of this anger that they hold inside, some of this rage or this disappointment, this energy of self-hatred that they have within them, that they've been running from. They've been avoiding looking at this by kind of projecting that blame outside of themselves. But in some way, again, with this idea kind of songs and music and sort of the harmony amongst notes, they're coming into this place of balance within themselves, learning to really accept that, own that, kind of these parts of themselves that may have been sort of rough edges or very difficult to deal with, or had led this tendency within them to kind of burn to the ground circumstances that were really the ways and means to healing and transcendence of disappointments that they had experienced in other areas of their life, coming into a place of acceptance with that in order to create something of meaning out of this, to make this situation, make these experiences matter, to kind of look beyond these areas of themselves that they may feel guilt about, they may feel shame about, they may feel are very flawed and fractured and broken. Taking into account all the pieces and really asking themselves, what can be done with this? What can be forged out of this? What can be built out of these circumstances, and who I am as a person, who I have been shaped to be based on my circumstances and interactions with others, so that the mark that is made on the world and upon this connection and others in their life can be more beneficial and less destructive than it has been in the past. And they say, your face haunts me day and night. So again, that element of dreams coming through, a lot of signs and synchronicities that this person could be getting as well, that is kind of encouraging them to continue down this path of self-discovery, down this path of really taking ownership for themselves and for how they have behaved in this circumstance, for parts of themselves, unhealed wounds that the time is ripe for them to really kind of address these things and move beyond these things. And they also say, my twin flame, my love. So if you resonate as a twin flame, this can be a confirmation. Also with the King and the Queen of Wands, especially with that fire energy, and all these cards of balance, these can all really tie into the dynamic of a twin flame or a twin soul connection, a deep soulmate connection with this person. There's this energy here of really the destructive element that has occurred within this, the pain and the difficulty that this person has kind of contributed to this situation, and also what they themselves have experienced. Disappointments are it's never just one-sided. It's, we participate equally in these circumstances, whether that's enabling other people, whether that's not setting up healthy boundaries for ourselves, whether that's, not standing up for ourselves, tolerating behavior longer than we should, an urge to kind of fix or to heal or to mend other people, to do that work for them at the expenditure of our own emotional well-being. These can all be ways in which we contribute to these circumstances. And so it's definitely something, this feels like a connection or like an energy where as much of kind of a destructive force as this person may have turned into in this situation, as much as they may have been the one to kind of push this away or sabotage this or run, that it's something where kind of the balance that they are seeking to cultivate within themselves from the higher self, they're also asking you to really recognize that, seek ways to forgive yourself for how you may have enabled this, how you may have really tried to take on this person's pain or these deficiencies within them and to carry that for them, to try to do that work for them. come to that place of forgiveness, find that energy of balance within yourself. And in doing that, you set this energetic example. You help support this person in their quest for balance in their own ways within themselves as well. And they also say, I do miss talking to you. So this can tie in with that element of communication, a desire to bring some kind of an apology to you, to not have this be the end of the story, to not leave things as they lie between you. If there'd been any kind of a fight or an explosiveness, or somebody who was just very callous in the way that they cut off communication with you, there is this desire to kind of move beyond that, even if it's just in the sense of providing some kind of closure, some kind of a necessary apology, owning their actions, owning up to what was done or what was not done in this circumstance. They do feel very compelled to present that to you at some future point. And they say, I'll make it up to you if you let me. I promise that I'm going to be better. So that's more of that energy of an apology that they know is owed. And this really feels like an apology primarily in the form of changed behavior, changed actions. This feels like somebody who recognizes that it's going to take more than kind of honeyed words at this point in time in order to really turn the page, to really make things right. This is somebody who has kind of reached a breaking point within themselves where, again, something has to give, something has to change. They're very tired of kind of cycling around in this same sort of destructive energy, and there's this urge to kind of bring this newness in, to infuse this connection with a different part of themselves, a different aspect of their energy that they may have also been very disconnected from, to kind of tap into and wound these sort of heal these wounds within their heart in order to return to your life or to kind of participate in this situation and in this connection as a source of healing, as opposed to being more of kind of this conduit of disappointment. And we also have, I can't face you right now. The intensity between us scares me. So that really ties into that element of kind of the deep intimacy that they had experienced with you, this calling and this urge to, maybe believe in love again, to open up to love, to allow themselves to be infused by that very healing force of love that exists between the two of you, and that could have really triggered some wounds within them, triggered these feelings of deficiency, or it really, collided with kind of this rigidity within this person, this stubbornness within this person, that may have been some kind of a defense mechanism that they had built over time by being just very immovable in their stance. It sort of protected them or insulated them from allowing others in too deeply, allowing others into that core, that wounded core, that very beautiful core, that innately healed and whole core within them that they just were not at this point of being ready, willing, or able to accept or to face or to recognize. This feels like somebody who may have been very accustomed to kind of that feeling of pain and deficiency within them, that the possibility of healing and seeing themselves as whole and healed, it carried with it this energy of otherness that resonated, that rang true for them, but at the same time was so different to kind of this ache that they had been accustomed to within them, that they just pushed this away. Again, this energy of kind of ruining things before things could be ruined for them. And they say, you're not my usual type, but I like it a lot. So again, you two could be very different. This person really kind of making these excuses or leaning into this idea, this notion that you were too opposite to make things work, or on kind of the flip side of that you were too similar to be compatible in the long term. Kind of this element of too good to be true, or a sense of uncertainty that, what's the catch? What's really going on in this circumstance? Is there something I'm not seeing? Is there something that I'm missing? And so kind of either variety of that, it feels very much outside of what that usual type is. It feels strongly this can be somebody that, again, feels that love takes, and love does take work. It takes compromise. It takes two people willing and able to kind of meet each other where they are and recognize that and seek to mutually kind of grow beyond these things, to allow the other the time to evolve or to remain if they so choose. But kind of a situation that challenges and encourages kind of the perpetual evolution of each other and then the connection. But this is something where this person, again, might have been used to sort of friction and love, kind of a power struggle in love, a need to really assert these boundaries, somebody who may not have really been able to breathe a sigh of relief ever or for a long time in a romantic connection, and that they had just kind of become accustomed to that. That had become their safe zone, their safe space, and sort of the ease and the flow with which this connection specifically was able to unfold, or what had developed between you, or the possibility and potential that they had really sensed could have triggered them. It could have made them, just become kind of extra guarded, because it is so unlike what they are used to experiencing. And again, this sort of fear that something so outside of their comfort zone, what they have known, what they have become familiar with, what they have sought out in their life in terms of the nature and dynamic of partnerships. Again, that element of friction, or even connections which were kind of just very surface level, almost this idea of kind of like easy pickings, something that didn't require a lot out of them, somebody who didn't challenge them to kind of be malleable in the situation, but just really kind of placated this person, or didn't really seek to understand and to know and to learn about kind of the deep motivations in this person, somebody who didn't seek to kind of be that reciprocal force of healing and growth for one another, but just took this person kind of at face value and just as a matter of convenience, kind of the idea of a fair weather relationship, something that may not have been able to really stand the test of time, or if it is something that stood the test of time, if it's relationships that they've been in long term with other people, that there's just not a lot of growth, kind of this element of stagnancy, complacency, almost comfort or boredom that may have existed in these situations. And something about with how dynamic this is, how intense this is, that it's lighting something from within. It's motivating this person to kind of take stock of themselves, to reflect on themselves, to do the work to change for the better, to tap into these wounds within themselves, to heal these things, to transcend these things, to accept these things within themselves. That it's so different than what they're used to experiencing in love and partnership, that they're both very compelled and at the same time kind of repelled from the situation. And they also say it's easier to stay away now than lose you later. So that is that confirmation of somebody who, may have kind of sabotaged this, torn this connection asunder before they, put themselves in a position of having the rug kind of pulled out from under them. And that this place of distance, this place of space, it is that comfort zone. There's a lot that this person needs to work on within themselves that they are starting to really recognize, kind of that healing that begins within and then is able to be carried out into the material world, into other circumstances. And so again, with this energy though, this feels like this is not how this person wants this story to end, but at this point in time, they're in need of that sanctuary. They're in need of that time in their own energy, kind of sitting in the circumstances that they've created for themselves. Almost this element of having no choice at this point but to look deeply in the mirror and to take some kind of responsibility for the choices that they've made and the life that they have manifested for themselves, to really reflect upon the potential and what was touched on in this connection, what had the ability to grow, how they may have worked directly or indirectly to kind of push that away, and from that place reaching that space of forgiveness so that they can make changes within themselves, to again be that living apology in the form of changed actions, which can then help them to move more toward the energy of reconciliation with you, if that's something the two of you would be open to and would consider in the future, or at the very minimum to provide some kind of closure or vindication and be able to move forward in their own life in a more articulated manner, in a more balanced manner, in more of a responsive energy, as opposed to this reactive and kind of impulsivity that they might have been in before. So I'm going to get a romance angel for you now, group 1. Okay, and we have engagement. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. So this is really talking about this bond that you and this person share in the 5D, that you're really helping and supporting each other, you're healing each other through this process of really coming into balance and into alignment with the masculine and feminine polarities within self. This feels very much like a parallel energy that the two of you are in, or that this circumstance is really calling you to invest time in that. Use this time and space away from each other wisely, coming into that sacred union within. Coming to terms with your light and your shadow aspects, with how you've shown up in connections and in your life in the past, and then really incorporating that with the changes that you want to become, that you want to experience, that you want to be in the lives of others. Coming to that place where these two kind of polarities are honored equally, and they contribute, they help to build and shape sort of the future of how you are moving about relationships and moving about the world. That this time apart, this experience with this person, the sort of pain and confusion that this has generated, this is this opportunity for change. This is that fuel to the fire, which can really lead to some profound developments and evolution within self through these circumstances individually. And in this process of really doing that internal work by yourself, for yourself, the two of you individually doing this, making this choice, which as we saw here with everything that came out with the oracle and the tarot cards, this person is starting to participate in that internally. This might not be something where you're seeing evidence of that in the 3D, but something has shifted. Their gaze has shifted. Their focus has shifted. They're starting to get some new perspective. They're starting to find some things that resonate. They're finding their way to that internal peace. And so at this time, really taking this opportunity to do that for yourself as well. And by doing that, you kind of optimize the potential of what can develop between you and this person in the future. And at the very least, it's an investment in yourself, which is never a bad idea. And that can then enable and equip you to really interact with others. If you open your heart to love again in the future with another, or even other relationships in your life, where you're able to really kind of meet people where they are, recognize their shadows, see the potential, and really just operate with whatever level of articulation they are at that point in time. Not allowing that kind of the level of kind of development and awareness that somebody is at, not allowing that to really diminish or to take away from the work that you've done on yourself, the ability that you have to know and understand yourself, know and understand your tendencies and your triggers and your needs, wants, and desires. But you're able to then present more authentically who you are in a very incorporated manner, which helps others to meet you at that level. It's the essence of we teach people how to treat us. And so by doing this work, investing in yourself and allowing this person the time and space to invest in themselves, to do the work at a pace that is organic and natural to them, you optimize the potential of what this connection can develop into in the future, and the potential in other ways of kind of your experiences of relationships in kind of a very broad sense in other areas of your life. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 1. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got V, P, T, N, M, D, Z, J, A, W, E, and B. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. When you do that, it helps the video to reach others who might resonate with these messages, find some kind of sense of peace or confirmation from what came through, and it also helps my channel to grow, so I deeply appreciate that. If you would like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the rose quartz heart. So I'm going to start with some oracle cards to get kind of a feel of what's going on with this person, some energies of the connection, just what's happening at this point in time for group 2. Okay, so we have second chakra, Archangel Ariel. So this is in reference to the sacral chakra. So this person could be reflecting on kind of their tendencies in love and partnerships, some wounds of the past that have really led to them pushing this connection away. Some things that have really kind of come up for them, maybe some abandonment wounds that led them to kind of sabotage this connection before the connection could lead to some sort of disappointment within them. There might also have been, I'm feeling the energy of some people that have returned from this person's past in some way, or some kind of reminders that they have gotten of this, maybe dreaming about people, or seeing signs or synchronicities or things that are relevant that are kind of bringing all this to the surface again. Instances as far as heartbreak goes, or just kind of unresolved sort of contracts with some of these people from their past romantic partners specifically. That this person is kind of in this place of seeing these people with fresh eyes. Maybe some situations where they had put somebody on a pedestal to some degree, and there's been this fall from grace. They are seeing this person in a more authentic way. And that this is really kind of bringing up this element of closure that is happening. It's bringing up this realization, even just internally, what might have attracted them to this particular person, or kind of a series of partners, a series of individuals, has really been some kind of wound or deficiency within them that is mirrored in this other person, that kind of reinforced this narrative maybe of unworthiness. Somebody who might have kind of had a tendency to settle, almost this idea of kind of low-hanging fruit, and this idea of just kind of situations that didn't really challenge them, situations that didn't really lead to much growth for them, situations that might have just even subconsciously been sort of identified as sources to reinforce this kind of feeling of deficiency within this person. And kind of a recognition that is happening, that they have limited themselves through their experiences. They've created this very limited idea of what love is, through kind of bringing into and participating in and allowing kind of these limited potentials in love into their life. And that through something that has developed or grown within this person, it is giving them the ability to perceive these things with fresh eyes. Again, this idea of kind of a fall from grace. People that had been really put on a pedestal had held a very special place within this person as being the epitome of their experience of love, of what they wanted in love, the type of partnership they were seeking. But that something has really changed, something has shifted, where they're seeing that they are worthy of more. They want more. What they were settling for up to this point, it's below the potential of what love could be. And that isn't to say that any of these other partners that, there's something inherently wrong or something, inadequate about them. It's just that the people that they were used to really experiencing, or that had kind of left a permanent mark on this person's heart, had substantially impacted their psyche. These people are just operating from a level of vibration and understanding that in some way this person has transcended, or that they are in the process of transcending through seeing these situations from fresh eyes, getting this fresh perspective, freeing themselves from those kind of bonds or the chains that had really tied them to, again, kind of pedestalizing somebody, or kind of epitomizing a certain relationship or type of relationship. It's really bringing up that kind of that space that exists between maybe where they themselves were resonating at when these other kinds of partners or people sort of captured their heart and really established that space within as kind of the epitome, or the substantial love, the love of their life, and that something has shifted and changed to where the personal changes within this individual they're not resonating with that anymore. So a lot of closure could be happening for them. And part of this vibrational shift can also really tie into the experiences that they've had with you. What has shifted energetically within this person, the ways in which their vibration has been elevated even subconsciously, that as they are interacting with these energies, it's almost that they're having kind of an allergic reaction of sorts. They're not as drawn to that as they once were. They're not as compelled by that as they once were. It's been a fire that is fueling this introspection, even if these are not people that have re-entered this individual's life, but that it's just this energy of kind of reflecting on their experiences in love, what love means, the story that they've come to know of as love, and then in turn how that is affected to even the detriment or the expense of this connection with you, how kind of that distortion within themselves has shaped their ability to respond or to receive or to reject the cup of love you had to offer. And we've got blossoming abundance. So this is really speaking about some deep growth that is happening within this person as they are again kind of closing out some kind of cycles in terms of how they have identified themselves with partners of the past, or kind of how they had determined what the epitome of love is, what that would look like, what the conditions they had set upon people that they'd be willing to open their heart to, what needed to occur, what a relationship would look like, the steps that would need to be followed, or characteristics and qualities that they were seeking in a partner. That something has really changed, it has evolved, it has shifted, and it has grown. This is somebody who's starting to recognize their own worth, starting to recognize that they want more. They want more from whatever they've been settling with. They've outgrown relationships. They've outgrown a certain type of person, a certain type of expectation. This is somebody who may have also experienced some kind of a heart chakra activation. And so there's this abundance that is culminating in that heart space. There's this excitement, almost this newness, or kind of this idea of a return to innocence, where no matter how many heartbreaks have happened, no matter how much disappointment, no matter how much this person is settled, maybe settled for people just out of the need for companionship, an avoidance with sitting with themselves, sitting with these feelings and emotions, but almost putting a band-aid over some wounds within their heart by just kind of moving from partnership to partnership, or again kind of bringing in people and circumstances that don't really challenge them, but just kind of keep them at a certain level in vibration, that something has shifted, something has changed, something is kind of growing within this person to where they are no longer able to sort of run from this reality. They're no longer able to kind of fit very neatly into circumstances or even ideas surrounding love and partnership that once held a sense of comfort or predictability, or just kind of felt like the safe bet, the safe investment for them. And we also have patience. So this is speaking about kind of a process that has started, or that is being initiated within this person, that is kind of a multi-layered healing journey, that recognizing these things, acknowledging these things, even feeling and sensing and experiencing the vibrational kind of mismatch that exists between others they may be dealing with, or that they've dealt with in the past, maybe people that are kind of coming out of the woodwork, resurfacing from their past, even just in the form of dreams, or again reminders or memories that are coming up. It's the energy of a lot that's clearing within this person, with this element here of this clock on the solar plexus. This can really talk about, again, kind of taking their power back from situations, learning their value and their worth, and realizing that, it's never too late to change what they allow into their life. It's never too late to, increase the standard of what they view themselves as worthy as what they are willing to, again, entertain or kind of bring into their life, what they are willing to allow to occupy this space within them. This space of being on that pedestal, that space of being the epitome, that in some way evolution or growth is happening. This person is moving beyond a cycle or a series of partners or an idea about love and partnership. But this is, it's something that it's going to take time to do that. This is somebody who's really reflecting very deeply into their past, perhaps even to the genesis of their experience of love and connection with others. And that through this kind of this process, this laborious process process, this gradual and persistent process that they are actively involved in, and that it takes place vibrationally kind of behind the scenes. They're progressing more toward their true north. They're progressing more toward this energy of really being able to value themselves, value the love that they have to give, seeking out connections which challenge their growth in the most wonderful ways, as opposed to anything that encourages them to kind of remain stagnant and sort of limited in terms of what these situations have to offer, the potential that exists, and what is really kind of brought out from this person. So I'm going to get some tarot to get some clarification about this for you, group 2. Okay, so we have the Five of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And this again ties into that idea of maybe some reflection that is happening about heartbreaks of the past, equations of love and loss, something that this person is looking at, or something that is resurfacing for them at this point in time, where what they had placed a lot of value and precedence on, they're seeing that as kind of an empty situation, or that there's nothing more to be gained from that. This is a person who's in this process of kind of pain. They're in this process of processing their grief and their pain over that, the disappointment, which is very necessary in order to be able to move beyond, to shift that focus, redirect toward the type of partnership they do want to experience, redirect their focus even toward this connection and what this is really inspired within this person, almost energetically showing them that they had been setting their standards too low. They had been undervaluing themselves, that they're worthy and deserving of so much more than they have experienced in the past. But part of readying themselves to really accept that, to receive that, and to be reciprocal with that is this process of kind of mourning the past, grieving the past, seeing the past and even other circumstances in their life for what it is, kind of the limitations of that, honoring those limitations, respecting those limitations, and making the choice to move away from that stance of limitation for themselves. We've also got the Two of Wands, so fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and this is talking about kind of planning, kind of this idea of forward momentum, that as they are processing the past, as these things are kind of surfacing for them, and they're able to vet these circumstances or these people out more acutely, they're starting to really want to take ownership of their life. They're starting to want to create a new future, a new type of experience for themselves, something that they once had resonated with. They've let that go, or they're in this process of letting that go. They've been touched in some way through the experience with you in this connection, to want for more. They're starting to recognize that what they had settled for, it was just so limited, and that there's this higher potential that exists in love, that exists in the dynamic of partnership between two people. And so this is somebody who's, again, in that element of choice. The choice has been made internally within them. Something's been activated within them. Their sights are set on something else. And it's kind of this process of unraveling, kind of sifting through their material world, circumstances in their reality, and also kind of taking this world view, this grand view on kind of how they had reached this point, what shaped this kind of tendency maybe to settle or to limit themselves, to undervalue the love that they had to give, and therefore magnetize in and accept into their lives partners that kind of reinforce that limited view of this person. That in some way they're getting back down to basics. They're wanting to kind of turn the page, end this cycle, and start fresh in a new direction, to experience a love that sees them and that recognizes them for this abundance that they hold within, that encourages that to come forth, as opposed to really fostering an environment or a temperature in their life that kind of it just encourages them to remain mediocre. Not a lot of growth is happening. Kind of this energy of stale or stagnant energy of a dynamic, where there might be some excitement, there's fulfillment, but it's limited in some capacity. And kind of this pivot that has happened, this point of comparison that has happened through the dynamic with you, through whatever has happened with you, that has really shifted this person's attention and focus to something more, this desire for more, this desire to kind of grow out of circumstances that had become comfortable or known, or even a tendency, a type of partnership, a type of person that they were used to kind of accommodating or calling into their life. And again, this desire for something different, some kind of a growth or evolution in the heart space, and how passion is experienced and exchanged between two people. We've got the Four of Swords, so air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and this can talk about reflection that is happening, a deep introspective period where, again, kind of going back to the genesis, back to the heart, back to the start of situations in romance, and how that had kind of contributed and shaped this person's perception of themselves, the value of the love that they had to give, and what they were willing to entertain or settle for in their life. Kind of a period of planning that is occurring now, as well as they're coming into these deep truths, as they are coming into this awareness. It's enabling them to then strategize a way forward beyond this, really taking the time and experiencing very viscerally and discovering what no longer resonates, what no longer fits, perhaps what never fit, and that they were just kind of making do with, in order to, then open the door, kind of clearing that path toward this place of a dreamscape where they can then imagine what they do want to experience. If they're kind of learning what love is not, or what doesn't really satisfy them, it then brings their attention to what do they want, what do they truly need, what do they truly want to strive for? Even that point of comparison between what they've experienced with you and other situations in their life or in their past, and kind of being able to have, again, that element of choice to remain stagnant, or to choose the path of growing through love in the most kind of profound and deep and multi-layered ways. We've got the Two of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, and again talks about this idea of balance, this idea of juggling, kind of this process that this person is in of moving beyond their old life, moving beyond an old type of partner or a specific relationship that they're in the process of kind of dislodging themselves from. Somebody who may be trying to consider the logistics of how this will look, taking a lot of factors into account, that it's not so easy to just run towards you. It's not so easy to just throw everything away and move in the direction of something else, with this idea also of a blossoming abundance and patience, that this is something that is gradually unfolding. The way forward is gradually being shown to this person, the more that they are exploring, and that they are really kind of scratching beneath the surface, and starting to recognize as well the ways in which they have grown, in which they have changed, in which they are developing, and therefore what they need to satisfy them at a soul level has changed as well. It has become clearer to them that in some way they've been playing small with their life, they've been settling in some capacity, and the potential exists for so much more. But it's kind of this process of coming into that belief in self as well, that they are worthy and deserving of more, that is possible, that can be created. And then also kind of steps and strategy as far as what that would look like. What sort of loose ends need to be tied up? What needs to be grieved and let go of and released in order for this place of stability to arise, in order for this abundance of love to then have the space to grow. We've got the Two of Swords, so more of that air energy, and this can talk about kind of stale relationships, a stuck period in this person's life, a realization that they have had that they've really been limiting themselves in terms of the potential to experience love and partnerships, that they've been playing small with their life in some way, and still feeling very stuck in those circumstances. Again, still feeling that, it will take some time to kind of extract themselves from these situations, to undo some of these knots and some of these entanglements in their life. But a lot happening in this internal plane. On the outside, they may still be going through the motions, trying to maintain the status quo, trying to just kind of keep the peace and keep the balance in their life as much as possible. But there's a lot going on in the internal realms. There's a lot of thought that is going into into this, a lot of planning that is going into this, almost planning their escape from something, or even a difficult conversation or series of conversations that need to take place. If this is people from this person's past that are really surfacing, they're taking the time to not just look at things at face value, not just allow kind of their passion, or again, this kind of memory or this pedestal that they'd place this person on to kind of suck them back into this repetitive loop with that energy or with this person or with these people. But this is somebody who's taking the time to really introspect about that, who's really kind of digging beneath the surface of that to say, is this really what I want in my life long term? Is this really what resonates with me anymore? Is this something that I have outgrown? Is this something that can support me through my continued process of growth and where I want to move in my life in general, and the changes that are unfolding within me and in my outside circumstances? Is this a person? Is this a type of person? Is this a wound that I've been carrying that will sustain that? Or is this something that only kind of limits that, keeps that stuck, stifles that potential, and makes it difficult for growth and evolution in other ways? Got the Six of Swords, so more of that air energy that again talks about kind of moving beyond some ideas, taking some people off of pedestals, or kind of freeing themselves from maybe even an association that they had with a significant heartbreak in their past, and kind of identifying with that, kind of stepping fully into that wounded warrior energy, and kind of embracing that as part of their identity, viewing themselves as somehow flawed or unlucky in love. Maybe they were really kind of taking on a narrative that some other partner had really imposed upon them. The energy of blame somebody else had really projected upon them. This person had taken that into their identity, had viewed themselves, had believed in that they were somehow flawed and deficient perhaps, which led to this energy of settling. They didn't feel their own worth, and therefore didn't feel themselves worthy of a partner that kind of touched upon that greatest potential, a situation that encouraged that growth and that evolution. Somebody who's just kind of played small with their life and been really sort of trapped in that energy, trapped in kind of this difficulty within themselves, cultivating gratitude for what they have, but not really striving for anything more, not really believing that more is possible, or that they were worthy or deserving of that, but that something has really shifted. There's again this desire to kind of extract themselves from a belief system, a pattern in love, a series of relationships, or even a particular partnership, in order to kind of move beyond, see what else is out there, not in the sense of wanting to play the field, but in the sense of this inclination, maybe something that's been touched on in this connection, that there's more to love than they had come to believe, or that they had allowed themselves to believe they were worthy of. And again, this desire to kind of move out of stagnancy, move out of a situation or a belief system or a mindset that has kind of passed its expiration date, that the time for transition and change is here, it's now. And so this person investing a lot of thought in what that would look like, what's involved in that, what potential exists out there, what possibility exists out there. Sensing this energy of abundance and of growth, but it being so outside of the ordinary and the comfort zone of what they have known, that there could even be a degree of trepidation about that, and kind of this energy of being almost overly cautious, or wanting to be very meticulous in this process, because it's taking that leap of faith out into the unknown, this realization that something has to give, something can't continue. They've been activated too profoundly, or some other changes have happened within this person too acutely to be able to, in a long-term sense, kind of sustain the energy or vibration that they had been in. That at this point, it's almost trying to fit themselves into kind of this outgrown space, the sweater that is 2 sizes too small, and really feeling that urge to kind of break free from that, to move beyond that, mourning this kind of loss, this kind of passing, this kind of growth and development beyond whatever had really resonated and been a good fit for them in the past. And we have the King of Cups. So this is more water energy, and this talks about, again, kind of this person starting to value themselves, valuing their worth, recognizing the ways in which they've played small in love, in which they have kind of undervalued themselves or really participated in circumstances that diminished that. A desire for more, a desire for a love that is deep and that is enriching on multiple levels. Somebody who's really starting to take control of these circumstances, almost this idea of building themselves a raft or an ark in order to kind of move beyond this turbulence, these choppy waters where they no longer fit, they no longer resonate. It's no longer almost a situation that they're willing to tolerate. It's no longer a narrative that they are willing to participate in. There's this desire and this belief now that is growing within them that they are deserving of peace and love in the same sentence, that these don't have to be two separate components of this person's life. They don't need to find their peace elsewhere, and then love is kind of, the contrast of that, where there's friction, or there's this element of kind of stagnation or kind of a limited capacity, that this is something that they can bring these two elements together. They can have that peace and they can have that love all in the same package, all in the same circumstance, all in the same dynamic. And this being very different from what they had come to believe that they were worthy and deserving of. This person also starting to recognize their innate wholeness within them, despite the narratives that other partners of the past might have really kind of inflicted upon this person, that somehow the love they had to give wasn't good enough, or that they weren't deserving to have their needs met, or that somehow that these things were insufficient, were invalid, or were wrong somehow. That they're starting to recognize again this wholeness within them. They're taking this wisdom away from circumstances of the past, grieving these things, mourning the loss of these things, honoring these things for the place they held in their life at the time that they did, as being very necessary kind of stages in this person's journey. But this is now an energy that's geared toward evolution and maturity, moving beyond kind of a certain atmosphere in the interest of experiencing something more, experiencing a depth of love and connection with another that may have been quite elusive for this person. And we also have the Star, which is Aquarius, and this can really talk about that process of grief and mourning, kind of akin to a dark night of the soul or an ego death, where a lot of harsh truths and realities are coming to this person. They're starting to kind of see beneath the ways in which they'd pedestalized people, even as people, again, from their past may be returning, or they're starting to, through the evolution that's taking place within them, they're starting to see other circumstances in their life with more clarity and with fresh eyes. And with that comes a sense of sadness, a sense of defeat almost, that they've settled, that they've maybe wasted time or deprived themselves of opportunities, kind of needing to come into that place of forgiveness with themselves, or, even if they had kind of filled their life with relationships in order to not take the time to do that work within, out of this kind of energy of being lonely. And so just kind of settling for anyone to sort of fill that void, to be that kind of placeholder for them. Maybe a series of these kinds of relationships where they weren't valued, they weren't recognized for who they are as a person. They settled, and therefore kind of experienced that sort of settled energy, or that kind of the energy that isn't at the highest vibrational potential of what love can be. And so through this process of mourning, they are starting to see clarity. There is a way forward that is being made known to this person. They're starting to make these plans within themselves through this clarity that is happening, that something's got to give, something's got to shift. They've got to get out of this situation. They've got to get out of this mindset. They've got to get out of this pattern or tendency. And while that may be, still kind of in the thick of overwhelm and a little bit of hopelessness and sorrow about that, they're coming into this place of sort of recognizing that, seeing a direction that they should head into, recognizing you in this connection as well as kind of that beacon on the horizon, that whatever they've touched on with you, whatever they've experienced with you, whatever's been activated within them by you and through this circumstance, that this is that difference. This is that something more that is helping to really bring that perspective to other narratives that they've had in place, other relationships they've been entertaining, other dynamics they've been participating in. They now have that point of contrast of where they find themselves versus where they want to head. take a look and see what this person wants to tell you from their higher self, group 2. Okay, don't think I don't care about you because I really do. So this is kind of a quiet period, this person not really taking a lot of action, or you're just kind of uncertain about what they feel, if they're ever going to kind of evolve and move beyond certain circumstances in their life. This is really a confirmation that kind of beneath the surface, you have made a substantial impact upon them. This connection, this situation, what you've sparked within them, it is again that kind of beacon on the horizon. A lot of this kind of planning and strategy and clarity is happening very quietly within this person. They don't seem to be at a place of being ready, willing, or able to make that declaration in a very loud manner. But you are there. You're kind of accompanying them through this process, supporting them through this process, being that kind of anchor, that point on the horizon as they are moving through this sort of chapter of personal darkness. And they also say, I find everything about you so pleasurable and irresistible. So they're viewing you as very different from the types of partnerships that they've experienced in the past. This person feels very fulfilled by you, very seen by you, very honored by you in a way that they are not accustomed to. Again, it's this element of really a connection which challenges, but in a very healthy manner, that you help this person to really recognize the potential within themselves. You encourage that to really come forward by owning and acknowledging the potential that exists within you and taking steps to really bring that forward. It's almost this element of kind of leading by example, the two of you really helping each other to kind of in tandem raise your vibration or open up to receiving an experiencing a higher vibration than you may have allowed yourselves to believe was possible previously. And they also say, I miss your sunshine in my life so much. So this is that element of contrast where the circumstances that they are finding themselves in currently, after they have really touched upon their, energy with you, they're starting to recognize how it's kind of lackluster. It's not resonating with them as it once did. There's a desire to kind of move beyond that, move beyond narratives of the past, beliefs that they have had about themselves and about love and connection in the past. And to move in the direction of an energy, of a connection, of a view of themselves that is vibrant, that has potential, that is not something which is stagnant or limited or just kind of seeks to keep things in that kind of status quo or that kind of limited stance. But there's this desire to really step forth in authenticity, to bring out some kind of vibrance of love from within them, kind of out into the material world. This is someone who feels very uplifted by you, very encouraged by you, very seen and nurtured by you. And they also say, I was too broken to love you back. So this ties in with that kind of that energy maybe of settling, of not valuing the love that they had to give, not recognizing their own worth and sort of the intensity and the potential of what exists in this connection. They may have chosen to sort of move away from this or not even accept the cup of love you had to offer, because deep within they had been operating in kind of this limited belief of themselves. Maybe someone who had come to believe or had been told that they only end up sabotaging partnerships, or that something about them was not worthy or was not deserving of reciprocity, was not elements of themselves that were flawed and therefore needed to be hidden. But with you, it's they were able to kind of bring these things out into the surface, allow these things to be seen and known, which could have really touched on some areas of vulnerability, some triggers within this person that they are acknowledging. They're starting to really recognize that, how they've been operating from kind of a flawed or a limited perspective, and seeking to really kind of love themselves back into wholeness. And they also say, life without your love is not worth living. So more of that energy of starting to recognize that belief systems or other situations they're participating in are really limited in terms of the capacity and potential of what love can be, how that can exist between two individuals. And it's becoming very difficult to remain in kind of in that vibration any longer, in those circumstances any longer. It's something where growth is taking place. This person is transcending. They have transcended. A lot of this has taken place internally, and it's becoming very difficult to kind of fit back into that circumstance or into that mindset. It feels like something that is not these belief systems or even kind of pedestalizing a certain partner or a type of partner. It no longer resonates with who this person has become vibrationally in the direction that they are moving in. And we also have healing my heart is bringing me closer to my divine purpose. So again, that idea of loving themselves back into wholeness, something you have sparked within this person, you've inspired within this person, even just in the ways in which you've touched each other energetically, that it has really catalyzed and awakened this process within this person to transcend their own limitations, to really recognize situations that they may have outgrown or that, always existed as kind of a manifestation of some distortion within them. And that the more that they are allowing themselves and giving themselves the gift of healing, of mourning these things, allowing these things to kind of pass through their existence, and allowing themselves to really trust that where they are being carried, even just in the mental space, that it's something it's closer to the way love is intended to be, that a way love is intended to be experienced. It's closer and in the direction of the love that they are meant to have and to participate with and to hold in their life. Okay, and we have, I tried to replace you. Then I realized that you are irreplaceable, and now you are gone. So that's more of that energy of trying to fit back into situations that no longer serve them, they no longer resonate with. In some way they have evolved beyond these things. Even belief systems or mindsets that they had about love. And after having touched on your energy on this connection, they can't go back. It's something where they can't fit themselves and fold themselves back into that package or that box that they'd been living in previously. So they're at this crossroads where there's no choice but to move forward with this. There's no choice but to continue to evolve with this, to grieve and to mourn and to release what needs to fall away internally and externally, in order to really continue in this process of rising into their greatest potential, rising into that place where they are recognizing and are believing with every core fiber of their being that they are worthy and deserving of a love that is so much greater than what they have known up to this point in their life, and whatever it is that they are believing that they are worthy and deserving of or have settled for in the past. And they also say, I'm really sorry about everything. So they are missing the closeness with you, regretting a decision to not accept the cup of love you had to offer, or pushing you away, rejecting you. Now that again, they've got this point of contrast that whatever road they had chosen to go down, whatever comfort zone they had chosen to dwell in, as opposed to really participating further in this connection, embarking upon what is to come in this connection, that it's left them with a sense of loss, with a sense of having touched on something that even all the other things in their life and their circumstances and their history added up together can't even come close to. It can't even hold a candle to that. It's not even in the same galaxy. It's not even in the same realm. What they have touched on with you, what they've experienced with you, what has been awakened within them through the experience with you, is something that is next level. It's almost otherworldly. It's something that they are starting to really value and to cherish, to recognize this as a divine connection. And part of that process of kind of grieving is also grieving that energy of missed opportunity, learning to forgive themselves, and really committing to continuing to move and rise through this this experience in order to equip themselves with the knowing and the understanding that they are worthy and deserving of that healthy and reciprocal love, loving themselves enough to have something of value and merit and substance to bring to the table for you. And they also say, I hope you don't find out that I've been watching your social media. So this ties in with that energy of, don't think I don't care about you, because I do. This is definitely not an out of sight, out of mind situation. You're heavily on this person's mind. They're very much inspired by you, either things that you directly talk about that you have in your life, maybe some process of, loving yourself to the point where you realize your innate wholeness, and any ways that you have been kind of making that journey public, in which you've been sharing that with others or helping others along their path to do the same, that this person's getting a lot of inspiration out of that, even if that's not something that's part of your active or your waking conscious, something that you are deliberately invested in. There's just something about your energy, and even just very kind of routine and regular posts that you're making on social media that are imbued with that vibration, this vibration that this person is recognizing exists within them and needs to be unearthed. It needs to be brought to the surface, that they are seeking to incorporate more of in their life, that through this process of kind of loss that is occurring, they're really looking towards you as that kind of pillar, as that example, as that point on the horizon they are wanting to move towards. Okay, you will be in my heart until death and beyond. So that's more of that confirmation of this is not out of sight, out of mind. You hold a very special place within this person. It goes beyond putting this connection on a pedestal. This resonates almost as an energy of truth, that for all the illusions they had entertained in their life up to this point, that they have touched on and now understand, even just vibrationally, the nature of what love truly is, what love truly can be, through the exchanges that the two of you had, or even just something that they know, that they sense vibrationally. There's a certainty there. There's a patience there, that as much as this person wants to run towards you, as much as this person deeply within wishes that they could kind of, have all of this kind of difficult and heavy lifting out of the way in order to kind of reach that horizon where the two of you are able to really meet each other and rise in love, as a contrast to all the circumstances where the two of you have really fallen apart through your interactions and your conceptions of what the nature of what love is, how that looks like, and how that kind of vibration, or what had masqueraded as that vibration, how that had manifested in both of your lives. That this is something, this person really wants to experience something more with you, and they're taking the steps that are necessary, even through this internal kind of evaluation, making that plan, making that strategy, continuing to sit in this vibration that has been activated, continuing to try to surrender to and to allow this evolution to take place, looking at what they are seeing very, very distinctly, very acutely, as raw and as difficult as that might be to have illusions shattered. It's all in the interest of this truth that they are ultimately moving toward, the truth of the nature of love, of true love that they have touched on with you. And they also say, my entire being and body is attracted to you. So this confirms that energy of that they find everything about you so pleasurable and irresistible. This is definitely a higher level love, a higher level of connection that you and this person share, no matter how brief your connection, whatever has occurred between you, any kind of distance or separation or barriers that exist at this point in time that kept you apart, or that were kind of put in place as this person kind of needed that experience of retreating into that comfort zone down in order to be able to perceive the comparison of where they had been, the life they had created for themselves versus kind of the opportunity that is awaiting them on the other side of that. Through all of that, they feel very compelled, very magnetized towards you. It's helping to fuel them and motivate them in this process of, again, looking very, very clearly at some truths they could have been avoiding or that weren't really apparent to them. It's encouraging them to continue in this process of outgrowing situations, outgrowing belief systems, that no longer resonate with who they are and with who they are becoming. And they also say, I can't bring myself to open up and let you in. So they're still in this process of needing to sort some things out, come to some kind of understanding within themselves, some kind of peace and forgiveness within themselves. This is the energy of not now, but not never. That a lot of growth and transformation needs to take place. There are layers which need to be uncovered. This person desires to move towards you, to open up fully, to let you in, to speak the truth of the love that they are holding inside. But they're also very cognizant of some other things that need to be closed out, other things that need to be cleared out, other things they need to kind of get to this point of resolution, or at least a place of peace with, a place of acceptance with, before they are at a place of being able to really let you in fully. This is somebody who doesn't want to kind of cloud or sabotage or kind of add to the interference in this connection any more than it already has been. And so they may even be kind of holding themselves back while they go through this process, while they clean some things up in their life and within themselves, while they clear some things out from the subconscious and from their surroundings. And so it's a matter of kind of at this point in time, the fire for you still burns very brightly within them. They're connecting with you in that higher self realm. You're both really supporting one another. They're watching you from afar, either literally or really tapping into your energy. There is this desire to move towards you, to move closer into your life, to reconcile, to kind of emerge back into your reality. But at this point in time, there are other things that need to be tied up first, other things that need to be kind of loosed from their life first, need to be released, need to be moved away from, so that when that time comes to open the door to their heart, the space that they invite you to enter and that they come out from is a place of purity. It's a place that is not cluttered with all of these kind of unhealed aspects of themselves. It's a place of truth. It's a place of knowing that what they have to give in terms of love it's worthy, it's enough, it's more than enough. And from that stance, they are then able to receive the treasure of love that you have to give, and you're knowing that you are worthy and deserving of healthy and reciprocal love in the same manner that this person is. So I'm going to get a romance angel for you now, group 2. Okay, we have chemistry. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. So again, you're both very compelled toward one another. This is an energy of alchemy that even from afar, you two are really guiding and supporting each other in this process of, things that this person is needing to kind of mourn and grieve and let go of. And in your own life, you're in a process very similar to that, or are being guided to explore that, to use this connection and this dynamic and the situation between the two of you, this time and space that you may really have been very kind of confused about, to start to see this as a gift, as the necessary period of time to make those preparations, to kind of clean out the heart space, clean out the subconscious, close out some things, move away from some things, release some things in your life that are not in alignment with the vibration that you are already occupying, that you are cultivating, and that you are also continuing to move towards. the two of you really encouraging and supporting one another through this process. And again, a lot of deep attraction here, a deep magnetism here, that despite whatever's happening in the material sense, this is something you're being guided to really trust in that. Honor what you're seeing. Honor this person's silence or their inability at this point to let you in more than they already have, or in the past, or more than they currently are. But also take into account and recognize kind of that intangible bond that you share, the truth and reality of this dynamic that supersedes the material world, that is beyond ego and circumstance and condition, creating space within you for both of these realities to be equally valid can really help you in moving through kind of the ebbs and flows of this situation, kind of the winds of change that are taking place. Again, as kind of plans are being made to move forward, as this process of patience and unfolding is needing to really take place, so that you are individually able to get to that space of, again, kind of having that very open invitation in your heart, clearing out any people from the past you may have kind of held up on a pedestal, really analyzing and assessing what are your views on love, how has that been shaped, where have you been limiting yourself or playing small in your life, not just in terms of romantic partnerships, but other partnerships, other situations that you are entertaining, that you're making space for in your life, and really evaluating these things and see, do these add to the measure of the person that you are becoming? Are these people that are growth oriented? Are they supporting you in this process? Is this something that contributes to you? Is this something that participates with you? Or is this something which holds you back, tethers you to some kind of outdated version of self that can't come with you, that must be loosed in order to continue to kind of move to that higher potential of what you are developing into, what is unfolding vibrationally from within you, and therefore the types of circumstances and experiences and people you are meant to intersect with, and the lives you are meant to touch then moving forward. So I'm going to close this reading for you with some initials. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person. It can also spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got M, I, P, Q, C, A, U, W, N, T, K, E, and V. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. When you do that, it helps the video to reach others who might resonate with these messages, who might gain some kind of sense of peace or confirmation from what came through in the reading, and it also helps my channel to grow, so I deeply appreciate that. If you would like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Snowflake Obsidian heart. So I'm going to start with some oracle cards to get kind of a feel about what's going on with this person currently, where they're at, energies of connection for Group 3. Okay, so we have adjacent possibilities. So this feels like this person is thinking about a decision that had been made in this connection in the past, maybe a decision to walk away, or a pace that they had set in this situation, a desire to take things slowly, or to maybe invest in other things in their life. It doesn't really feel like another person, but just some particular path or something that they were working on, maybe something to do with career, something to do with some of their own healing work that needed to take place, their own ascension work, spiritual work, or coming to a place of becoming very comfortable in their own skin, becoming very comfortable with who they are and with what they have been through, coming to a place of really starting to decipher what they want moving forward. Maybe the two of you came into each other's lives after a period of significant heartbreak, some kind of upset, some kind of disruption, something that this person was in the process of really picking up the pieces from. And it had been a path or a process that they had really committed themselves to. They weren't looking for love. They weren't willing to kind of open themselves up to that, or had set some kind of a very rigid standard or a plan or some kind of goal that they had in place, a timeline, a way that events should unfold. And they had been very committed to that path, walking that path, and then very unexpectedly, here comes this connection almost out of nowhere, where this person had almost had these blinders on to maybe other opportunities, to open up into connection, other potential partners, but again, just very focused on some other kind of destination that they were headed toward, maybe even a way that they had kind of epitomized some other partner, or some idea that they had of love, or what that would look like, when that would come into their life, the nature of how that would be, what the particular partner would be like, and all of a sudden this connection comes out of nowhere. It sparks something, it opens something up, almost a fast track to this kind of archetypal goal of what they had wanted to experience and achieve in love, and to have in their life and love. But at the same time, this does feel like somebody who, again, through some other goals, some other things they were maybe working on or trying to rebuild or reach in their life, that they almost sidestepped this. They almost, didn't really capitalize upon that opportunity that this connection had presented to them. And it's a sense of having really missed out on something that could have been quite an adventure, that could have been, very different, very out of the ordinary, again, very unexpected. And so reflection that's happening upon that, about this path that they are still headed toward, some kind of goal or mile marker that they have reached, and now they're able to look back and see that they've missed something. They missed a crucial step along the way. They missed this opportunity for something more, something different, whatever this goal is, whatever this mile marker is. Even as they've just kind of moved further down the road, closer to that, there's a sense of having left something behind, of having really missed out on something through the ways in which they didn't seize the opportunity in this situation, or kind of almost passed you by, or even kind of rejected you, or sort of pushed this away, denied this. And we have man holding a coin. So finances could be something that they are really focused on at this point in time, some kind of a financial goal they've been working towards, some kind of a career goal that could have really been kind of the choice that was made over this connection. Feeling that they didn't have the time to invest in this, not wanting to distract themselves from that sense of security that they were seeking to really achieve. This card can also talk about again, these kind of ideas about love and partnership that this person could have had that had been very either related to tradition in some kind of a way. So maybe this connection, the two of you are very different. You're very different in terms of your goals and your ways of looking at the world, your ways of moving through the world. Maybe even a lot of apparent physical differences between you. Some kind of an age difference between you, or lifestyle differences, to where this person could have really looked at these things and these aspects as kind of blockages or barriers to some other kind of a plan or an idea that they had for themselves as far as what partnership would look like, who that would look like. And it almost feels too that they'd been putting their focus in the wrong direction, and kind of by being so rigid in that stance, or so almost tied or limited by whatever it is that they were focusing on, or these ideas that they had about the physicality of what love would look like, beyond just body or appearance, but it even feels like the circumstances, the nature of when this would arrive, certain avenues that this person had told themselves, this is not where I will find love, this is not where it will meet me, it must happen in this particular way, and only when I'm ready, and only under these set conditions and circumstances. That by focusing on this, they essentially have missed, or have been oblivious to, kind of this wide vista, this peace, this sunrise of love that has been there, that has beckoned them, that has really come into their life. But the choices that they've made, or again, this rigid stance, has kind of moved them further away from that. There's a sense with this too of again, whatever kind of goals they've reached, or as they are a little further down this path, some distance has now been created between an opportunity to really act upon this dynamic, or that your lives have taken you kind of in separate directions. This person has moved off in another direction. There's a sense of almost kind of being minimally satisfied with what they have. Like in this imagery, that he's barely holding on to this pentacle. He's just kind of resting his fingers there. This doesn't feel something which is highly valued and prized and cherished anymore. It's almost a sense of the juice not being worth the squeeze. That whatever they have kind of reached for or reached in their life, it has proven to deliver less of a sense of fulfillment than they had previously anticipated. That again, some kind of rigidity about the nature and place and circumstances and dynamic of where love would be found, or at what point in their life they would allow that to enter. And as they've held on to that, as that has been that choice point, that deciding factor, it's led to a condition within this person of kind of looking around them and really seeing, again, something's missing, so that this kind of stance or this approach or this path, it's just it's not as fulfilling as they thought it would be. A sense of something else that they've kind of left behind, and kind of a little bit of on the brink of just sort of leaving all this behind, abandoning these ideas, abandoning this path, loosening up their stance in order to really turn around and to experience and to start to move towards kind of that light of love that had glimmered, that had appeared very suddenly and very unpredictably upon the path that they were walking, but not necessarily fully being at that point yet, still kind of holding on to whatever these ideas are that they had, or whatever they were working towards, but kind of being sort of right on the edge of making some kind of change in this circumstance, reimagining things, redirecting their focus somewhere else, kind of cutting something loose from their life. We've also got door to romance. So this ties in with that kind of door in the floor on adjacent possibilities. This person is starting to really recognize that walking away from this connection, or passing this connection by, has really come at the expense of what was on the other side of that door, which is love, which is happiness. It is contentment. It is love in a package that might have been different than they could have anticipated, or that they had wanted, that came and approached them at a time when they weren't necessarily looking for it, or again, in a manner or a condition that was different from what they had set for themselves. They're thinking back a lot on this circumstance with you, on this situation, and again, it's kind of it's almost on the brink of wanting to backtrack, wanting to come back towards you, to see if that door is still open, to see if there's the ability to kind of move in a different way than they had chosen to before. Kind of the more that they are sitting in whatever this choices that was made, whatever kind of goal they were moving towards, they're again through the distance, that is created emotionally or even literally between you. There's a sense of being acutely aware of your presence that persists within the heart space, almost seeing you as a companion in this circumstance, in this situation energetically, despite whatever choices they had made in the past, which is bringing their attention to kind of the fact they might have been valuing money over love. And it's a choice point right now to continue to move along the path of kind of physicality and acquisitiveness, or to choose the path of experience and kind of sensation. This idea of for love or money, and that's kind of the place that this person is at. Again, it could be kind of literally money, finances, a career path, a type of partner that fits in with that kind of standard, of that mold, or that perception of what they think would go really well with that. Or this can even just be focusing on, again, some kind of tradition, some kind of rigidity, some kind of identity that this person had formulated for themselves, or a strict standard that they had set for what love must look like, the package that it comes in, the manner in which it comes in, the time and the circumstances, the venue in which one intersects with that. That there's this sense of, through that very kind of set guideline that has come at the expense of something truly kind of wonderful and beautiful. And so this choice point that they're at to continue down this road, continue down this path, or, really take the opportunity to retrace their steps, to knock upon that door to see if that adjacent possibility still exists. I'm going to get some tarot to clarify this for you, group 3. Okay, so we have 5 of Wands, so that is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and this again talks about that element of struggle, kind of this idea of the struggle between the head and the heart, the road of love or money, that this person, they're struggling to continue along whatever that path is that they had chosen. They're struggling to really stick with that decision that they had made. They're feeling very pulled back in the direction of this connection to at least reconsider that, the distance that has been created or that grows between you. It is making them acutely aware again of something that they've left behind, something that they needed to bring with them, or that had presented itself to them for a very particular reason, this adjacent possibility, kind of questioning that, like what existed on the other side of that possibility. What adventure have I now kind of deprived myself of, or have I moved further away from? Is the area in which I am focusing on, or the direction in which I'm heading, is this coming at a cost of some sort of deep fulfillment, some deep internal satisfaction that is beyond appearances, that is beyond what money can buy? Got the 8 of Swords, so air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and this can talk about a feeling of being really trapped, being in an impasse, not really sure how to correct this situation, how to move back in your direction, acutely aware of a sense of rejection that occurred, kind of not sure if that spark would still exist between the both of you, if this is something that can be repaired, if this is something that, can be fixed, uncertainty as well about what lies on the other side of that door, a desire to kind of move away or to expand their world in some way from whatever they've chosen to focus on, from whatever they have prioritized, but a sense of this being out of their comfort zone, them not really being sure how to kind of move out of that headspace, out of that kind of maybe over logical mentality, that very practical approach, and to kind of dip down into that heart space. This being very new territory for them just kind of needing to maneuver to a certain extent by instinct and intuition, and kind of break trail in a way that is very natural for this person. It is very, unlike how they typically lead their life. It's very outside of the norm of their nature, or kind of the way that they have been moving through the world, some kind of routine, or again, kind of goal or priority they've set for themselves. Starting to recognize as well that any standards they may have set, where the circumstances of your meeting, of your interaction, they had almost just written this off very quickly as not the kind of place that they were looking for love, not the kind of person that fit that description or that idea of the partner that they were looking for, but that in some way, nonetheless, the two of you have touched each other energetically, to where that process of really admitting that and owning that, it's proving a little bit daunting and difficult. How to kind of relinquish that, how to free oneself from that hold on some kind of a preconceived notion, a plan that they had in place, or a series of standards that they had set. Wanting change, knowing that would bring them a sense of fulfillment, but not really sure how to do that, what steps to take, needing to almost take baby steps at this point in time to create any kind of an energy of shift or momentum. And we've got the Queen of Wands, some more of that fire energy, and this talks about this deep attraction they have for you, this deep magnetism that goes beyond physicality. This is something very intangible, very energetic, that is stuck with this person. It is bringing their attention acutely to this fact that whatever they had chosen to focus on, whatever they had chosen to really prioritize, or that they had told themselves was kind of the only place they were going to consider as sort of the venue for where love might arrive from. A particular type of partner or standards that they had set. The person that I love must meet these qualifications. And you being almost this energy of a wild card, very unexpected, kind of popping up out of nowhere, or again, in kind of a place and a nature and circumstance, or a point in this person's life where they had made this commitment to themselves. They weren't going to let love in. They had something else they were focusing on, something else that they wanted to do or accomplish. And you've sparked something within them. You remain in this person's heart, a very vibrant force, that as distance kind of accumulates between the both of you, it becomes more acutely aware to them. They're strongly magnetized in your direction, wanting to move back toward that sunshine that you bring into their life, feeling kind of at a loss for that, feeling almost a little bit desolate, or what they have around them is kind of dull. It doesn't have a lot of life to it. It doesn't have a lot of substance to it. These goals and what they're working toward may be very important, but there's this idea of there's something more. There's something more that they are meant to experience. Starting to really understand how, even the ways that they could have thought that they didn't have room in their life for love, or that, they needed to put their full priority and focus elsewhere. Starting to understand that this connection, and even just the existence of love in a healthy and reciprocal manner in their life in general, only adds to the measure of their existence. That it's not a choice of either or, it's a process of making room for and. We've got the Star, which is Aquarius energy, and so this is a hopefulness. This person really, starting to explore internally what it's going to take to turn this situation around, what is necessary within them, what actions need to really unfold in order to generate change in the situation. It may seem kind of daunting. It may be something they can only take baby steps with at this point in time, but their focus is directed to that. They've not been able to shake this. They've not been able to shake you or the connection, and kind of the closer that they are reaching other goals, the more that they are sitting in that energy. They're starting to really recognize that, again, it's something that is missing from their life, but there's an element of hopefulness that in time and kind of in the proper manner, that the path will reveal itself, the way to kind of repair this situation, or the steps that they need to take in order to kind of come away from whatever choice they had made and back to that crossroads, or they are now choosing the path of love in a very kind of open and flowing sense, as opposed to kind of this rigidity and this very kind of surface level decision or rash decision they may have, almost kind of out of a degree of impulse, or just kind of writing this connection off too quickly and kind of making a different choice from that point. We've got the Four of Wands, so more of that fire energy, and so this can really talk about signs this person is getting, seeing 1111 a lot, seeing your name, seeing reminders of you. Again, they just can't shake this connection. There's a desire to move back towards you, to create some kind of stability out of kind of what is broken, or kind of what has been left unspoken, the unfinished symphony between you. This person could be recognizing you as their soulmate, as their twin soul, as their twin flame. They are resonating with you. They're feeling you. They're feeling how you add to the measure of their existence in some way, even from afar. Even, you know, if this connection didn't really get very far off the ground, or hadn't gotten off the ground at all, in some way you lend some element of stability to them. It's a piece out of their life that they didn't even know was missing. It has brought their attention to kind of the importance of that. In some way, you hold the key to this person's heart as well, and that could be very unexpected for them. Again, it's the energy of that they weren't looking for love, or that the nature of the circumstances between you was not where they had originally thought love would live, and yet nevertheless, here it is. Here's that stability and that certainty, kind of those pieces adding up, the two of you really balancing each other very well, albeit that there may be some kind of surface level, or kind of some you know, things that are very uncommon about the two of you, that in some way kind of the masculine and feminine polarities within each of you, kind of the light and shadow aspects within each of you, it works really well together. Somehow beyond all logic and beyond what they had come to believe or had told themselves love would look like and love would be like, there's a stability here that might have even been lacking in other partnerships that kind of fit this standard that this person has had in the past, which is causing them to really reconsider things, to want to move back in this direction. They can see you as somebody who would kind of add to the measure of stability in their life, would be very supportive as a partner, very supportive in some of these other goals and dreams they have. They may see you as somebody that they would want to marry, that they would want to settle down with. They could see the partnership between you being a source of sanctuary, again, being a source of stability. Almost that kind of the differences, or the, you know, the uncommon things about you it's exactly what is needed to create that kind of excitement, that spice in the connection that is necessary, that only serves as kind of the contrast and highlights this deep level of compatibility that you share. A lot of similarities and commonalities between the both of you that do exist, and are only, again, kind of highlighted by some of these sort of more surface level or circumstantial kind of differences. We also have Justice, which is Libra energy, and this can talk about somebody who wants to return with an apology, bring some kind of clarity, bring some kind of truth to you in this situation, to speak words that they had not in the past. This can talk about that process of almost balancing the head and the heart, the choice that they are finding themselves at, or that they are really considering and contemplating, about choosing the road of fear, of love versus the road of fear, choosing the road of sensation versus appearance. And in some way, again, kind of with this with Justice, which can be a card of marriage, also along with the Four of Wands, they could really see you as somebody who could be a long-term partner for them. That in a lot of ways, in unconventional ways, in unexpected ways, and in very important and subtle ways, that you're the person they could see being by their side to support them through thick and thin, to really encourage them, to help them and to nurture them, and to contribute through your own very unique and vibrant vibration to whatever these larger goals or quests that this person is engaged in right now. That, you know, whatever their kind of standard that they had about the nature of partnerships, when that would come in, how that would look like, where that would originate from, that all of that has kind of been torn asunder by, again, this energy almost of the wild card that you represent to them. Somebody who may have really started feeling intensely for you, very kind of unexpectedly, and that brought up this sense of conflict as well, kind of mistrusting that, or wanting to kind of keep that at a distance, resistance because it was so outside of the scope of the plan they had laid in place for themselves. But they're moving into this energy of starting to come to terms with that, being very balanced with that, recognizing this connection as a gift, this opportunity as a gift, almost like this surprise that the divine had in store for them that they might have kind of recoiled from or sort of rejected, but they're now seeing this as a gift that they had almost left behind. And so there's this desire to kind of return to that and really bring that forth into their present reality. We've also got the Ace of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And this is talking about this offer of love, somebody who is making the conscious decision to choose the path of love, or they are in this process of trying to untangle themselves in some way from choosing the path of appearances, the path of fear in the past. With this energy that's overflowing here from this cup, this is talking about, again, this very profound and almost magnetic attraction that they have to you, the depth of feeling that they experience with you could be quite uncommon for them. It's beyond what they have experienced in other connections in the past. It's beyond what has really been exchanged, even with people that maybe fit that prescription for what their perfect partner or their ideal partner or the right circumstances, the right time would look like. And all of that is really making them acutely aware of a need to kind of course correct, a desire to kind of go back and really bring into their life, enfold into their existence what they had left behind in the past. So this can tie in with justice and this element of maybe an apology that is owed. Somebody who kind of is in the process of even taking these baby steps within themselves to figure out how to do that, what that would look like, what needs to really change and evolve within this person to be able to offer you something of substance and value in terms of romance. And we also have the King of Pentacles. So this can talk again about that focus on finance, some kind of a legacy, some kind of a kingdom or an empire that this person was seeking to build, that they may have really put love on the back burner or seen this connection initially as only a distraction from these things. And they're starting to really recognize how, in fact, this adds to the measure. This adds to the potential of success that could happen. There's a desire to kind of nurture this situation, to be that solid and stable presence for you. Where in the past it might have been kind of the element of resistance, or again kind of skirting by this, rejecting this, refusing this, judging this, a certainty that is coming to this person that again the decision that was made is not the decision in their best interest, or it's something which as time is going on it's not fulfilling them, it's not serving them. It's again this idea of having left something behind, wanting to come back, wanting to claim that, recognizing your value and the worth of this connection, this treasure that was almost overlooked. And we also have the High Priestess, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And this talks about kind of following their intuition, signs they're getting as well, synchronicities that are, bringing them back to the knowing. It's bringing their attention to the fact that they had kind of walked in a direction that was contrary to wish fulfillment in some way. This desire to really trust their instinct, trust their intuition, maybe even kind of praying for guidance, seeking answers of how to correct this, what to do to kind of repair this situation. This can also talk about some telepathy that occurs between the both of you, a deeply psychic bond that you have, an empathic bond that you have that again contributes almost to this overflow of love that they have for you, that in all ways they are very attracted to you physically, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually even. That you're the full package, and almost in a package that is different than they what might have anticipated or were planning for or were allowing themselves to believe would be kind of necessary for them, or that they were worthy and deserving of, or kind of how they had formulated what love and partnership should look like. That you in a subtle way, you tick all these boxes within this person that they might not have even articulated, but in a manner that is very different than what on the surface they had convinced themselves was the right and proper timing and even type of individual to sort of fit into their life in this capacity. So let's see what they have to say from their higher self, group 3. Okay, I am empty and incomplete without your love. So that's that energy of the more that distance is being created between you, the further that they are moving away from this connection. It's a sense of having left something behind, a sense of having deprived themselves of a very necessary component to really fuel their other endeavors in life, kind of the gift of love that the universe has offered them in the form of this connection that they had almost again kind of left behind. They had chosen another route. They had chosen something which, as fulfilling as it is, it's kind of doesn't reach that height and potential of kind of that very necessary and intangible component of love, which they're starting to realize would then infuse kind of all these other areas of life. It's this cornerstone, it's this foundation that, helps make the struggles easier. It helps make the victories all the more sweet. And it's something that, it's very keenly on their mind that something needs to change, something needs to shift. A course correction is needing to take place. It's taking place internally within them. And again, might be kind of this process of baby steps to really bring that forth in the material world. They also say life without your love is not worth living. So more of that energy of kind of feeling that void, feeling the absence of your presence, a feeling of having left something behind, having squandered something, or having not recognized and not capitalized on this gift and opportunity of love that the divine had presented them. And we also have you came along unexpectedly and stole my heart. So that is that energy in a nutshell, that adjacent possibilities. Very much a wild card, very much at a time and in a manner that they weren't looking for love. The two of you might have met in a place or in a series of conditions that this person had told themselves was not the venue that love was to be found. That, this is something that they had other kind of goals or aspirations or needs and desires with whatever this thing is, and that they weren't going to allow love to complicate that or sully that in some way. And so they may have just very quickly rejected you or dismissed the idea of you. Nevertheless, you're etched in this person's heart. You've activated something within this person's heart, this awareness and this knowing that you are who they've been looking for the whole time. Okay, and they say you turn loose heaven within me. So they're feeling this very intensely. This love that they have for you, it's awakened something within them. It's awakened an awareness within them that whatever they've been prioritizing in their life, whatever they have been seeking or using to kind of fill or satisfy some element of themselves, that there's so much more to life than they have allowed themselves to experience. That whatever these accomplishments or these things that they're working towards are, that they're needing that sweetness of love, they're needing that sweetness of this connection to just really kind of almost bring out the flavor and the undertones of whatever this other kind of endeavor is, whatever this other path is that they've been walking, that you infuse them, you infuse their life in very intangible and yet very crucial ways, with this sense of kind of completion or things really making sense, this deep attraction that they have to you, this sense of compatibility on multiple levels that is very unlike what they had anticipated love could be like. Somebody who again might have really kind of segmented, compartmentalized their life, never truly thought that they could find someone that kind of was that complete package, and so they'd almost kind of created this very concise narrative for themselves of someone that would fit a very certain series of standards, and then seeking that kind of fulfillment or that abundance in other ways, maybe in other avenues. And so something about this connection, just, it's that full package, and it's something awakened within this person. It's something enlivened within this person. It's a hope and a possibility that may be a long-standing dream, a dream from long ago that they had of this perfect person that would fit, all these kind of requirements that they had through a series of disappointments or, circumstances where they had thought maybe this was the one, and it had not worked out. Then they'd kind of almost hone down that list, kind of ratchet ratcheted that down to just the bare essentials, seeking to again compartmentalize certain areas of fulfillment so that if one collapsed, they still had these other things, so that their whole world wasn't completely turned upside down. And so when this connection comes along, when you come along and you fulfill all of these aspects for this person, it just caused them to kind of question that, or just to very quickly reject that, to dismiss that, dismiss it as fantasy, or just be almost overwhelmed by how perfect that is, how much in alignment that is with what they have been looking for. But through the distance, through the time that has elapsed, or that has been created through that, from that choice point, they're very much acutely aware of how deeply entrenched in their heart you are, how much you make sense, even despite the circumstances or the nature of this situation, which doesn't make sense. And they also say, I'm so sorry for not giving you the time and attention you deserve. So this can tie into somebody who just kind of wrote the connection off very quickly, dismissed this very quickly, kind of brushed this off very quickly. They're looking back and with a sense of regret of not appreciating the time that they had with you more acutely, not taking the time to open up, to kind of be more flexible in their standards and in their requirements, seeing you as this wish fulfillment on so many levels, and feeling that void of whatever they have that's going really well in your life. It's missing that sweetness of your energy. And they also say, I constantly feel you running through my veins. So you are definitely deeply infused in one another through the energetic interaction. As much as this person might have kind of rejected you, kind of pushed this away, it's something that they've carried you forth in their life, in the time that has passed since that decision point, deeply attracted to you on all levels. Something about this connection really activates even a greater potential within this person to reach their goals, to find that sense of clarity and a purpose in their life. And they also say, I get scared if I'm being honest with you. So the intensity of this connection, again, that idea of you kind of fulfilling all of these areas for this person, they could really have a fear of loss, a fear of opening up fully to you, of giving you their heart, out of this idea that should things fall apart someday, it's a devastation they're not sure that they could really come back from. It's something where there's this desire, they want this so much, but they also understand that with deep fulfillment comes the possibility for deep loss. And so they're having to weigh these things out, to come to that place of choosing the path of love, despite all the potential fears and the narratives and the what ifs, the what if this goes wrong, what if the love dissolves one day, and instead choosing to really experience that, choosing to trust and to have faith that the gift that this love is, that has been presented by the universe, that is so different from all their standards and expectations and experiences of love, that this has not been presented to them just to be a source of more pain, that this can be a connection where the two of you can really help each other to grow into a more fuller expression of yourselves, that this, almost like that, those differences is kind of the spice, the glue which holds the compatibility together. It's the makings for a very interesting and dynamic relationship, not in a way that is volatile, but in a way which really kind of stimulates the highest potential of the two of you to experience love and exchange that with one another. And they also say, I'm so lost right now. I am confused. So this ties into this uncertainty, how to really, backtrack from the point that they find themselves at, how to go back to that crossroads, that decision point, to say yes to this connection when they might have said no in the past. It's something that they're puzzling out. They're trying to figure out. They're trying to determine that way forward, and it's in this process of really unfolding within them, and is weighing heavily on their mind. And they also say, yes, I do want to be with you. So confirmation right there of this desire to reopen the door to this connection, to move out of the space that exists between the both of you, and to again say yes to this connection when they might have said no in the past, regretting that decision, understanding also on some level the necessity of that decision, so that the further away from that choice point that they were able to get, the more they were able to kind of feel the ways in which you are infused within each other, the ways in which that kind of distance has given them that perspective that you are in fact everything they have been looking for. Coming to that place of trying to kind of formulate and figure out how to let their guard down, relinquishing some long-held standards that they may have had, some prescriptions they may have had about, again, kind of the nature and timing of love, and what that would look like, what that kind of partner would look like, and feeling beyond the appearances of the situation into, you know, the energetic compatibility and potential that exists between the both of you. Okay, and they say, I want more with you one day. So that really confirms this desire to go back to that choice point, choose the path of love as opposed to the path of fear and appearances that they had opted for in the past. Knowing that this is slow progress to get back to that place, that there's a lot that needs to kind of be figured out within them. There are steps that need to be taken. There are ways in which they, you know, are even with that Five of Wands energy, needing to kind of battle some fears and some doubts and some insecurities until they kind of summon that courage within themselves to take a risk and a chance on this connection, on this love, despite the possibility that things might not work out, that it's more worth the risk of taking that chance because the rewards, the potential there is limitless, as opposed to, you know, the choice and the risk involved and kind of the outcome of remaining in sort of that element of fear and kind of living with that notion of what if for the rest of their life. And they say, you're not my usual type, but I like it a lot. So again, a lot of differences between the both of you perhaps, or just some key differences that they had kind of establish for themselves some kind of list or standard about what their ideal partner would look like, the nature of those circumstances, how they would meet this person, certain paths or ideas or goals or beliefs that would be shared, that in some way this connection, you and this person are very different, but there's this deep compatibility to that. They're starting to really appreciate that, kind of the spiciness that exists between the both of you, not as an irritant, but as something that just really enhances the flavor of love in a way that they have not experienced with other people. Seeing and recognizing you as fulfilling them on all those deep levels, checking off all those boxes for them that they may have had to really kind of segment out, compartmentalize out, wouldn't allow to be experienced in one person, or hadn't had the opportunity to experience in one person before. And so when that one person comes along, when there's the suggestion of that, the feeling of that, all of these things are kind of coming into alignment, and then this person just kind of pushing that away, rejecting that almost impulsively or immediately or at face value, that there's some introspection that's happening about that you're so unexpected. You came into their life in a manner that is so outside of what they were looking for, and they're moving out of that space of really questioning that and kind of rejecting that otherness, and really coming to this place of being able to deeply appreciate that, just how wonderfully you deviate, and this circumstance deviates from some kind of plan or standard or routine or regularity that they had in place. They also say, I know that you know I'm hiding deep feelings for you, and now I feel stuck. So they are not sure how to really come back from this. There's a sense of this deep kind of empathic and psychic bond between the both of you. If this is somebody that you still have contact with, that is in your life, there's almost this very visceral and tangible chemistry between the both of you, almost at the brink of words being spoken but being held back on. This person not being able to very efficiently hide their feelings from you, which is kind of leading them to this sense of being very vulnerable, being very exposed, but at the same time knowing that there's no reason to hide from you. There's no reason to hide from this love and from the potential that exists here. But this idea also of feeling kind of stuck. How do they kind of move back to that choice point and open themselves up, present that cup of love, show you their heart, declare and speak these feelings that they have had and they continue to hold inside, how to do that. And so it's in this process of kind of navigating all of that, very cognizant of the magnetism and the chemistry between the both of you, this attraction between the both of you, and kind of filled with a little bit of regret over the choice that was made, but giving themselves that allowance that it was very necessary for that point of contrast. That choice and that feeling of missed opportunity has almost been the pathway for this deeper appreciation, this deeper recognition. It's given this person the time to really sit with their feelings and to really dig into these things and to really recognize that as much as this might be outside of some kind of a timeline or a manner or even kind of the appearance of things that they had equated with what they were looking for, what they wanted, that in the most kind of unconventional and perfect manner, you are everything that they have been seeking, that this connection is everything that they have been looking for, and it is something which, fills their life with a lot more measure than kind of continuing to remain at a distance does. I'm going to get a romance angel for you now, group 3. We've got getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. So this is really some guidance to just take things slow. If this person reaches out to you or returns to your life, if this is somebody who's still in your life at this point in time, and maybe this is just feelings that weren't acted upon, or kind of an opportunity to take things to another level that this person had declined or had again not taken the initiative with, then you're being guided to just allow this to develop slowly and organically. Kind of the time and the ability of this person to reflect, things are coming into clarity for them very organically. It may be a slow process to get back to that choice point, very much outside of this person's comfort zone. Even this idea of kind of relinquishing some of those very rigid standards they had about the nature of partnership and how that would show up, what that would look like, and the timing in their life. And so this really talks about time being on both your side. That this connection has the potential to grow and to become something very beautiful, and it's something to which time contributes to that. There's no need to rush into this, taking things slowly, really getting to know each other, sitting with each other, being with each other through kind of the seasons and sort of the change in coming out of a particular and rigid stance into softening and love, experiencing each other on good days, on difficult days, on days when the world is very challenging, and on days when the world is very much in each other's favor. All of this really contributes to this foundation that the two of you are forging on a very kind of deep and intangible and yet crucial level, so that when you reach the point of this person being ready to open up, being ready to speak those feelings, speak that truth, or present that, some kind of an apology or some kind of an offer to start again or to try to move forward from this point, that by taking things very slowly and very organically, you are again able to really contribute to that solid foundation, help each other to become very comfortable in this, in the newness of this, to establish that trust between one another, honoring and respecting one another's boundaries and barriers, so that you're able to grow very organically and at a very productive pace, within oneself, out of one's comfort zone, and in conjunction and in the nature and in the dynamic of this connection with one another. So this does feel like something that, again, they might not immediately rush in, but there is some kind of a turning point which has happened and is growing within this person. They're reaching that place of being able to kind of take a different approach than they had in the past. And it's something to where, you know, taking things very slowly, allowing things to develop and unfold very naturally and very organically without being tied to expectations, you know, tied to that rigid standard that kind of led to these circumstances in the first place. But just moving into that state of flow and allowance really helps to build this deep bond and helps this connection and the potential that exists here to blossom into the greatest possibility of what is meant to unfold between the two of you in this lifetime. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 3. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got I, O, Z, U, M, T, J, N, P, W, and A. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. When you do that, it helps the video to reach others who might resonate with these messages or get some kind of sense of peace or confirmation from what came through in this reading. And it also helps my channel to grow, so I deeply appreciate that. If you would like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you are interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.